depend on how the main part of the sanctuary of the church that's still there comes down. But we're going to try very hard to preserve that last back section of it. We've been working closely with the church and with the other members of the team, the demolition company, and we're hoping that this project will probably wrap up towards the end of this week. We will have a site that contains all of the rubble from the demolition. It'll be fenced in and secured. And then the public safety, public welfare portion of the project will be over. And we'll be turning the site back over to the church, which will obviously have to work on a remediation plan for disposal of the materials in one manner or another. And that will involve coordination with DEP and conformance with all state regulations regarding materials such as this. So really the point of today was to answer any of your questions that you might have at this point in the process. Yes, John?
Do you have a rough number on how much this demolition and the emergency response has cost the city so far, even round numbers?
No. Well, I'd be uncomfortable speculating about a number, but it is definitely in six figures at this point.
So I bumped into the founder, and he said that he in fact does have insurance on the property. Is that something the city has confirmed at this point yet?
No.
Okay.
How about the investigation into the cause? Is there any movement on that?
No, the engineer was, one of the engineers from E2 in town here was in our meeting this morning, and he is preserving evidence and is hopeful that he'll be able to opine on a possible cause.
Have you, I know you're in conversation with the church, do they talk anything about possibly trying to rebuild or anything like that? Maybe not to what it was.
Yeah, I don't know that they've made a decision on that yet. I mean, obviously the initial reaction is a desire to rebuild, and that's understandable. So I think that's going to depend on resources, what insurance they do have, and other factors. But I think it's really too early to understand that.
We did see them taking some of these up, that modern addition of the out of the back of the building. They were allowed to do that today. Any idea about artifacts or anything else that were in the church itself, or is that?
There's one very large crucifix right on the back wall of the sanctuary. They evaluated it. It weighs an enormous amount. They're going to try to recover that before they demolish that back section. They're going to try to get a machine in there if it's safe to do it. That seems to be the last artifact that we could pull out of there.
Others were already pulled out?
Well, we're assuming there's a lot under that's where the tower fell. There's a lot of rubble right there.
Was there a timeline on that mesh fence you mentioned?
The fencing?
Fencing, yeah.
If things go the way the city would like it to go, the fence company should be prepared and ready to go as soon as the demolition company is moving off-site. Towards the end of this week.
Mayor, isn't there any evidence of an insurance involved company involved in there, an adjuster who spoke with you, been outside or
No.
and could you address the issue of how the city might recoup the money it's spending in the event for internal insurance and once this is turned back on?
Fair question, and you know it's on our minds, but we really don't want to speculate about that now. The church does have an attorney who is working with the council for the city, with the law director, so we're in communications, and you know, we want to work together as best we can.
Can you identify who that attorney is?
Oh, you know, I didn't bring his name in with me. I can get it for you.
So how does it work with the demo? So once the
Yeah, they'll have to work with DEP
Okay.
on a remediation plan because, under the state regulations, all that material is considered hazardous waste until proven otherwise. The goal here would be to obviously not have to dispose of all of that material in a certified contaminated waste landfill. The goal is to first determine the level of contamination and then to remediate it and perhaps, there's some value in the granite and companies have already contacted the demolition company inquiring about that. So this would largely be up to the property owner to monetize the value of what's left, but everything has to be done within the regulations of the state of Connecticut. So DEP presumably will be overseeing the process. Generally what you would do is you would hire an LEP, a licensed environmental planner that would be more or less the supervise the whole process, develop the plan, and we're not expecting that this is going to happen overnight. So we're going to secure the property when we turn it back over to the property owner.
And then the Con College kids can move back once everything's screened in? Is that
I believe we moved them back today.
Oh, they're back? Okay.
Tomorrow morning? Okay, yeah.
Is there any other concern having more of the church?
Yes, there is. There's a continuing concern about the remainder of the structure. That was why we allowed the members of the congregation to go in and remove anything they sought of value from that addition.
Going back to things of value, is anybody going through the role that was already in place when initially felt this was anything of value, or is that later down?
That's later down the road as it's starting to be removed because it's all considered contaminated waste. If you notice, the demolition personnel have been wearing the white Tyvek suits and respirators. Now, the site has been continually monitored and they've had an environmental analyst on site the whole time. No contaminants have been discovered that are above any permissible levels. So the air has been safe throughout this process.
But there's concern about asbestos, right?
There is. Unless we could have proven before the building fell that there was no asbestos in it, then DEP assumes there's asbestos in that rubble.
On Friday, we talked about city identifying other buildings they wanted to take a look at in the future. Is there any update on that, progress on the list, and the legality of city going into those places?
No, I'm not prepared to give you an update on that, but we are developing an internal processes, whether we can work under existing ordinances, the state building code, but we certainly do want, we have a number of properties in the city that we want to either be provided with a relatively recent inspection of the structural integrity or be able to obtain one from the property owners.
Beyond the cost and impact to the church congregants, is there any other wider impact?
Let's repeat that one more time, sorry.
Beyond the cost to the city and the congregants of the church, is there any other broader impact that you would think of?
Well, the loss of the, this was probably one of the most significant historic structures, not only in the city of New London, but in the state of Connecticut. So it was an important part of our downtown historic district. And just, you have to remember that congregation that built that church was the original settlers of the city of New London. Those were the Puritans that moved down from Massachusetts Bay Colony to settle in New London. So the building was essentially all that was left of that community, but it I think it was an important historic structure that, in hindsight, we should have had paid more attention to make sure that something like this didn't happen. And the lesson here is to, I think we certainly are going to do it in this city, but I think every city has to look around at their historic structures, understand whether the owners have the resources to make sure that that structure is being properly preserved. You know, because I think we had an obligation to pass that on to future generations, and it's now just going to be a piece of New London's history. Now, certainly we have a lot of great buildings that have gone their way, and they're just memories, but the goal would be to preserve what we can of our history. It's certainly an important piece of architecture like that. 1850 to 51. It was I'm learning more and more about the history of it. The granite was quarried on site. It was built relatively quickly in a year or so. So it's pretty incredible story. Well, we'll see you all maybe towards the end of the week. Wrap it up. We'll be available if you have any questions in the meantime.